All right, so welcome back. Today we're going to take a look at GameStop and we're going to see if this stock is dead or you could look into purchasing this stock. Keep in mind, none of these are recommendations to buy, sell, or trade, just an opinion. So let's kind of kick things off and get started. As we check this stock out though, remember what GameStop's all about, and really why this stock really powered higher. A lot of, basically the group of traders pushing things higher from the Reddit side, and then there's a big short squeeze. So there's a lot of things that was going on within this, and that really created a lot of problems, I guess, for people that were short, but then people that were just looking to get into the stock for maybe a get rich quick concept that also can create problems later down the road. And this is what you're kind of starting to see right now. So as you kind of look at this stock and we look kind of on the daily, we're kind of starting to pull back. Look at the monthly, we're rolling over 6 months here. You could see you had some toppy action at around 200. So it's very volatile, which means it whips around quite a bit more. And then here, if you look at the 1 year, you can see we topped out around 300 and then we're just slowly grinding away. Because again, the company valuation, the company value is still what it is. It's either going to be a great company or it's not. And the company is a bit weak, right? The stock price is good, but the company itself is weak. So that's why it whips around. So what you'll notice here is if we just take a look at this company, it's a heavily shorted company. And this is usually why they do kind of, different kinds of splits and that kind of stuff. So overall, the stock, opened up here around the year 2000, came back and kind of had like this double top problem from 2007, 2015. So that stock really just kind of went sideways for quite a long time here. Then we had this pullback. If you look at the long term, this has been the problem, 2015 to 2020. So that's a 5-year gap. Or time frame. So we've just been kind of trending on the downward there. So let's zoom in onto the weekly here and just show you here what was happening. This stock was, right around that $3 a share. We're starting to kind of boom, cheap. And here, there's that downward issue trend line. And this is where you started to see some major, like, look, there's dumping, selling, shorting. A lot of hedge funds were getting short. And then, all of a sudden, this stock starts to build some momentum. Right? So this is where we got some momentum in 2020 and this thing started to power higher. And when you start seeing those kinds of moves, that was pushing those hedge funds to get out for a loss on their short positions. So here we started to see some early breakouts around September 2020, started pushing. And you can see that was around $15, then around 21, then this thing started to really grind up. So if you look at the daily, this thing started just power and then more people got in. And this is what drove kind of the stock up. However, remember, those hedge funds, they got buddies and those buddies are helping them out. So anyways, the company itself is still, it got into these higher levels, but take a look here. You've got 300, it's kind of the main issue here, and you've got resistance right here over the top. You had some serious support that was building at about $100 a share. Yes, it's more around 115, but that was a bit right there, kind of 100, 115. This is a volatile stock, so you got to give it a range. You've got some support there. If you start zooming in now and you start looking at kind of this range, here's what I'm talking about. Let's go to a 2-day right there. There's that 115, 110 level starting to break. And then if we get into this 100, that's kind of really where this thing could start taking a nosedive. And if this selling pressure again starts to build because of all these other people up here panicking, that could start to accelerate that move lower. So this is becoming a problem. You can see that stock came into this level about 115, or sorry, not 115, about 120. A handful of times and started to kind of try and test things. That's where the volume is coming in, but it just can't do it. So it's starting to roll over further, and this is creating some more and more pressure. So that's becoming a bigger problem here. So just be careful at this level that this stock, remember, is cheap and it's cheap for a reason. And when you start looking and stretching out the volume, you can see this volume is starting to build on the sell side. Sell side volume starting to build. It's usually not good news. It's not a ton right now, but if that picks up in the same way that it picked up to the upside, it can pick up to the downside, then you'll see some more problems taking place. So be very careful there. This stock does have earnings coming out in March 22, so that's still a little while away, but the stock is acting weak, and especially it's a volatile stock and can really whip you. Meaning here's you get this downward bar, upward bar, so that creates a bit of an issue for a lot of traders. it's just you're whipping around. But typically it's one of those things where, like, you know, if you're an electrician or plumber, you might say, hey, I'll throw in a couple $100 into this thing, you know, buy 10, 20, 50, 100 shares, whatever. And they kind of maybe sit on it hoping it'll get to kind of a 300, 350 again. And, you know, take a shot. But it's not usually like active traders that are trading it. You might throw in a little bit for speculative trades, but you're whipping it around back and forth, right? Because there's a lot of chop in this stock. So be careful if you're looking at it. It's very volatile. It'll whip you around. And if you look at the weekly, you are basically moving sideways right now. And remember, after a large move up sideways, you're either going to get another power higher or a pullback, because the sideways is a digestion period. So right now, do I think it's going to be a $500, $700, $800 stock? Probably not, because when you look at the company itself, it's going to start looking to be very troublesome and overvalued. But on the downside, it's more likely and possible. Now, will it get back to $3? Probably not right away. But it could get into, you know, let's say this $30, $40 range, somewhere around here, which is kind of a swing low kind of over here that we've had in 2021. So it can get into there, which is quite a bit of a pullback still from currently. That's still another 60, 70% lower. And from those highs, if you get into that pullback, that's 88% lower. And it'd still be a $40 stock compared to like a $3 or $5 stock it was just 2 years ago or so. So anyways, when you look at this chart, it doesn't look good. It looks troublesome, and I think it could have some issues moving forward. So just be careful on this one, and do it kind of as a trade only. If you're looking for upside move, then look for it for, hey, it's going to hit the upside, take your money and move on. That's the way I would look at it from a trading perspective. I don't know if it's a long-term investing kind of company. It's more of a shorter-term trade or bet type of thing. So anyways, thanks for joining me. Hope you enjoyed this video. Feel free to check out the Traders Fly website right here. And if you're interested in looking at trading options, it's a little more advanced than just the technicals and the charts. But check that out on the YouTube channel, which is another YouTube channel you can see in the description, or the website. Thanks again, and I will see you in the next video and episode.